Good morning, everyone. Hope you're having a great day, set up for a successful Wednesday. I'm Mark NCA. I wanted to talk to you a bit about the report going around that the FBI in the US had grossly overestimated the amount of phones that they had trouble accessing due to encryption. Now, regardless of your view on the politics around the situation, I think it's far simpler to put the misreported number of 7,800 at simple oversight or lack of accurate data keeping than at some sort of malicious argument, but it does raise a larger issue around accurate security statistics and making the argument for particular security controls. Because at the end of the day, that's what the FBI is doing. Now, I'm on record as firmly disagreeing with the FBI's stance that they need access to encrypted devices. In fact, with any law enforcement's stance that they need backdoors into encryption, because we have a hard enough time making secure systems without trying to put a backdoor into them, let alone trying to put a backdoor and then trusting a certain party with access to these devices, because that's just never going to work. It's a key escrow system. There are any number of reasons why that won't work. I'll link to a great article down below written by a lot of notable cryptographers in response to Ray Ozzy's little dog and pony show around his system to solve the going dark problem. But what really kind of bothered me about this report around the FBI, the FBI is earnestly trying to do the job they're tasked with, and that's true of law enforcement, say in the RCMP here in Canada. We as a society want our law enforcement arguing for every tool that they can to implement the laws in the way that we as the society and community have asked for, right? But it's our job then to balance that out by saying, look, here are the guidelines. You need to stay between these lines. And that's the real problem here. And that's actually a same problem within your organization around a lack of data and metrics. And that's really at the core of this issue, is that we need accurate security metrics in order to make informed decisions. If we don't have data and we aren't making data-based decisions, you're basically guessing. This is one of my fundamental problems with any sort of risk assessment framework, is that people take them as gospel, as quantitative, when they're really qualitative frameworks. So you'll see in a framework, we'll be like, oh, the risk is 5 out of 10. Well, what created that number? How did you come up with 5 out of 10? Well, it was a red and a medium and a blah, 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 and there's no real data behind it. It's just supposition, it's just speculation, and that's not how you make informed decisions. That's not how computer science works. And remember, computer science and security are all actually science. We should be taking a scientific method. Yes, there is a lot of operationalized, get it out of the lab into the real world, but at every chance we get, we should be collecting as much accurate data as we can and as reasonable possible, obviously keeping in mind that GDPR is coming and you need to respect privacy and user boundaries. But the challenge here with this FBI is not this misreported number, because I genuinely think that's due to poor record keeping and sort of guesstimation rather than any malicious intent. The challenge is, in general, we don't have accurate statistics and we don't frame statistics properly. So if I was, and this is a total hypothetical, so let's do a group exercise here. Hypothetically, if we are law enforcement and we're trying to make the argument that we need to have access and a backdoor to devices, what do we need? We need not just the number of devices that we can't access, because a number doesn't mean anything. Oh, we can't access 1 million devices. Is that a lot? I mean, it sounds like a lot, but compared to what? You need to put that number in context. So you need to say, well, we have currently 1 million devices out of 20 million cases that we try that involve digital devices that are inaccessible to us. And then you start to frame this in. You go, well, hold on, that means 1 in 20 are inaccessible, but 19 in 20 are accessible. Well, then, in those cases where it's not, what are the potential crimes up for trial? Are there any other angles? There's far more to this than just a number. And this holds true if we take this to the organization as well. The number of CISOs that I see reporting back to the CEOs or the CIOs or even the board with ridiculous stats like number of attempts stopped at the firewall. Who cares? Is that any productive value to the business? Right? Is there anything that puts that in proper context? Hey, we stopped, 1 billion attempts on the firewall this month. Okay. Out of how many connections made? Out of, is that normal for an organization our size? Is that, what puts that number into context? Instead of just throwing a number out there, what puts that number into context? And that's really the challenge here, is that I think in general, not just the law enforcement case, but in the computer science, in the defender, in the security team within your organization case, we've forgotten how to run stats, how to put an argument in context, how to gather data to make that qualitative argument with evidence. And that's really a key here. You need evidence. That's sort of my ramble, my rant for today. There's a ton more bubbling up here around that, because if you do a search for security metrics, you're going to be absolutely disappointed in the data that you see back, in the posts that you see back. There's very little actionable, there's very little intelligent metrics out there. There's a lot of vanity metrics. It's the same challenge in marketing, like, hey, we got 1,000 page views or 100,000 page views. Okay, who was viewing the page? Was it our target customer? Was it our target audience? Was it anybody we care about? Was it a bot? Like, all this kind of stuff. You need metrics that make sense. You need data that drives decisions. And that's really sort of what piqued my my interest and started rolling this rant this morning. I think it's important. I think it's an effort that's required. I think everybody should be doing basic statistics 101. I think everybody should be reviewing how to make an evidence-based and a data-based argument, because I think we're all better off when we stick to the facts as opposed to just guessing, because then numbers get thrown around, numbers get exaggerated, and then eventually you get into a highly political situation where we need an honest and transparent and open discussion here. We need one that's, we need clear amount of evidence that we can have an active debate, not just in the US, but in globally, how we want to handle this stuff, because our borders are quickly becoming somewhat irrelevant when it comes to cybercrime, and our technology comes from countries around the world. We need to have a clear argument, and you can only do that with data. I hope you're set up for a fantastic Wednesday. Hit me up online, Mark NCA, as always, down in the comments below. Look forward to talking about this issue, because it's all about discussion, interaction, and seeing every side of the issue, and the data to back up those positions. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a great day.